What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a loose graded vintage Star Wars action figure market update. And I've got CAS, AFA, and UKG, I think. I've got all three of those covered today. And there was a really big auction of very nice last 17 and other high-grade gems, tough to find variants that I wanted to go through. Before I dig in any further, I want to say thank you to Justin Mabin. He recently increased his Patreon monthly contribution, so thank you so much, Justin. I've got to know Justin for a while now, and he's a great dude, so thank you again, man. Let's go ahead and dig in. All right, first of all, this was kind of an interesting one. I had never seen this before. This was just a standard loose Jabba the Hutt, but it was loose graded by AFA, and I've seen this from Collector Archive Services and from UKG, loose graded with like the playset and the throne and Salacious Crumb and things like that. But I'd never seen just the figure graded by AFA like this, and they got kind of a cool curved case there, as you can see. So this is something, I don't know if this is new or if this is really old, but this had the archival case, AFA graded. This one sold over in the UK for 140 pounds, which is 169 US dollars plus shipping. So anyway, I don't know what to make of that one, but that's the first time I've ever seen that. I could see that for a prototype or an unpainted first shot or something like that, but for just the standard release Jabba for AFA to do that, that's kind of atypical for them. They don't usually do these kind of customs. So that's what makes me think that this is probably an older case, if I had to guess. But very interesting item. Here was a double telescoping saber Luke Farm Boy. This one was an AFA 70. So you can see the inner filament there, where it's not, it may not all be all the way pulled out, or it could just be a partial tip, but it was an AFA 70. I mean, judging by the figure doesn't look to be a 70 grade to me. Maybe it is. It's got some hand wear there, but I would guess that the saber tip maybe had some damage or something, and that's why it got the 70 grade. That's just a guess. That one still sold for $810, and we documented an AFA 80 that sold recently for $1,300. So obviously this one was discounted given the grade situation. But I honestly think that if you are a loose graded vintage Kenner collector or variants, things like that, to me seems like a really good time to do that. It just seems like prices are down, and I've got more examples of that coming up. If you can live with older cases, we've talked about that you can oftentimes get some of these older cases, hold on to them. If you're happy with them, great. But if you have to have the brand new kind of etched accessory case like this one for your loose gridded in the older cases, maybe you just hold on to them. And when and if AFA ever opens back up, I don't know what's taking so long, but you could send them back in for new casing. So here are a couple of gems down in Australia that sold. Two different loose graded Toll Toys vinyl cape Jawas sold. So how rare is that? This one obviously had some damage to the cape. As you can see right here, that the arm sleeve was heavily damaged and ripped. And as a result, it got the 60 grade from AFA, older case style, but very rare. These don't pop up very often, and the same seller had two of them. This was the AFA 60. It was listed for 4,000 Australian dollars. The best offer accepted on that was 3,500 Australian dollars. And using the Google conversion chart for Australian dollars to US dollars, that equates to 2,254 US dollars for a Toll Toys AFA 60 vinyl cape Jawa. Same seller also had the 75 grade. This one was obviously in better condition, much cleaner looking, still the older style case. That one was listed for 6,000 Australian dollars. The best offer accepted on that one was 5,000, which equates to 3,220 US dollars. So very expensive, and these were 60 and 75 grades. We talked about an AFA 80 plus, I believe, for just the standard Kenner release of the vinyl cape Jawa that sold for in the neighborhood of $3,000. So obviously there's a premium to be paid for the harder to find Toll Toys examples, but I just thought it was interesting that the same seller had two different examples, and they both sold for between 2,200 and 3,200 US dollars. I thought this was a steal. This one was an auction, and I didn't realize it was the PBP. I already have it, but I probably would have highlighted it for those of you looking for some of these high-grade Spanish figures. But this was a UKG 85% PBP IG88, and that's tough to find this one, and it kind of snuck underneath the radar, and I didn't see it. Only one bid on it. and it sold for 175 pounds, which is 212 US dollars, plus about $33, $34 shipping for those of us here in the US. Brand new K-Style, but that Spanish PBP IG88 is not exactly an easy one to find. It's kind of like a smooth COO on the back of the center of the back there. So pretty good deal on that, I feel like. I think I paid $335 for my UKG 90%. And this one was an 85 and it sold for $212. So I thought that was a really good deal relative to the one I bought earlier this year. Here's another PBP. This was a UKG 85% PBP Stormtrooper. Very high grade, looks every bit of an 85 to me. That one sold for 275 pounds, which is 333 US dollars. There was another one that sold at auction, not from this seller, but from a different seller, for almost the exact same price. So pretty good deal. I think that you can expect to pay for a high grade PBP Stormtrooper about a little over $330. I think that's exactly what the other one sold for, or very close to it. This seller, I've got two different AFA 85 Cloud Car pilots, and I just thought it was an interesting comparison to show you the price difference for what's the ones that sold for the old case versus the new case. This was the old case AFA 85 that sold for $176.40, and then here was the new case that one sold for $235. So pretty decent discount there. You're talking about $55 discount. That more than pays for if you're sending a big batch and taking advantage of combined shipping. That certainly will pay for the grading costs whenever AFA opens up, assuming they don't drastically increase the prices, which I think they still will, but who knows. But anyway, that one did sell for $235. I've been watching this one for a while. It sat on the market for about a month. I was very tempted. I almost bought it, but I decided not to. But AFA 85, old K-Style versus new K-Style, 175 versus about 235. And then finally, we're going to talk about this seller. This seller, Probstein. They're usually known for like PSA cards and things like that, but they got a batch of very high-grade Star Wars figures in, and they range from old cases to new cases to first 12 to last 17, but really great auction, and they ended for the most part at very reasonable prices. So here was an AFA 85 old K-Style Chewbacca. This was a no COO. Tougher to find that one. $113.50 for that. That was a great deal, I thought, on that one. Here was an AFA 85 new K-Style C-3PO. That one sold for $171. That was an absolute bargain, I felt like, for a very high-grade C-3PO, $171. Usually it's like $250-ish. Here was a new K-Style AFA 85 Walrus Man with pink tusks. And that one kind of flew under the radar as well, $113.50. What a bargain. Only $6 shipping on that. You know, that's just a really good deal there. This was probably the best deal. This was a light blue painted helmet Taiwan Boba Fett AFA 80 plus, and they are notoriously very expensive, but those have really dropped like a rock in terms of price. But a high grade AFA 80 plus for $565. I mean, there was an AFA 85 last year, just for reference. An AFA 85, admittedly not the same grade, but only one step up in terms of grade. That CIB, Collectibles Investment Brokerage, affiliated with AFA, they sold that last year, AFA 85, and it sold for $1,900. So this one, a year later, admittedly one step down in grade, but it sold for $565. So just a massive drop on that one. Another one that's gone down in price is the Hollow Cheeks Tusken Raider. So here was a very desirable variant. I was very tempted on this one. This is kind of the last major variant I need for Tusken Raiders, but I decided to not spend any money. I'm trying to hold off spending any money. But this is the Hollow Cheeks AFA 85 Old K-Style. That one sold for $456. I thought that was a really good deal. We documented another one that was an AFA 85 Old K-Style that sold for about $328 over in the UK. And then a new K-Style sold for, I mean, just crazy money, over $800 or $900 fairly recently on CIB. So $456, very good deal there. Here was an AFA 85 Squid Head, just a standard Squid Head, but $99 plus $6 shipping. Can't beat that for a Hong Kong AFA 85 brand new K-Style Squid Head. Taiwan Emperor's Royal Guard, another very budget-friendly item. This one was a beautiful new K-Style, and that one sold for $98. I mean, that's the cheapest I've seen in a while for an AFA 85 ERG new K-Style. This was another steal of a deal. This was an AFA 85 Hong Kong Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight new K-Style, $150. I mean, this is usually all day long $250. So a lot of these really flew under the radar. There were some last 17 as well I wanted to cover. Luke Skywalker Battle Poncho, AFA 85. That one sold for $259. I mean, usually that's all day long for an AFA 85, you know, 300 to 325, maybe 275 at the upper end, or at the lower end, but 259 came in even below that number. So 259 plus $6 shipping. Here was an EV99 AFA 85 old case style that sold for $355. Another bargain of a deal for an EV99. The Imperial Gunner. This one was an old case style, but it was an AFA 90. And I cannot believe this sales price, $393. What a bargain. Again, you know, I don't know, you know, a lot of these that did not have the pegs around the shoulders, these are kind of the original cases from AFA, so the figure does slide around. And I have heard select cases where people have sent them back into AFA and then they didn't get the same grade. They got dropped down in grade a little bit just because they rattled in the cases over the years and caused scratches on the hands or the shoulders or the head. So it's something to keep in mind. But still, if you could live with the old case, $393 for an AFA 90 Imperial Gunner seems like a good deal. Likewise, here was an AFA 85 Luke Stormtrooper, $650 on that one. I thought that was another great deal. There was an AFA 85 new case style that sold for over $1,100, $1,200 if memory serves earlier this year. So, you know, again, I think part of it's the old cases for some of these. Part of it is that they're auctions that fell underneath the radar for some people, and they ended at kind of a weird time. November 1st, you know, that's a Wednesday. So, you know, that's potential that could have caused the prices to be lower. And part of it's just the market. You know, the market is down. Collectible prices are down. I saw a post from a buddy of mine on Instagram that talked about the recent heritage auction of very high grade AFA 85, you know, AFA 80s and 85s for 12 backs and 20 backs. And the prices were well down. I mean, like 60%, 50-60% less than expected. So there are some bargains out there if you keep your head on a swivel. Here was an AFA 85 to finish things off for the Yak Face, old case style, $725. So, you know, I can't make any heads or tails of it because even Yak Face in the current market environment continues to sell for, well, you know, higher prices, you know, $650, $700, $750. And that one has not come down at all. But some of these other figures have come down in very high grade. So anyway, I just had a really nice batch from Probstein auctions that I wanted to cover, as well as a few other kind of gems that sold here and there on my watch list. So wanted to cover some of the good deals that are out there. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.